You're watching The Defense Dynamics and I'm Danveer Singh from New Delhi. Today we dive deep into a military operation that may go down in history as a turning point in modern air warfare. In just 72 hours, India executed a carefully calibrated air campaign, Operation Sindoor, that didn't just alter Pakistan's air defense landscape, it redefined India's position as 21st century power. Let's break it down. Why was the air campaign by Indian Air Force in Operation Sindoor such a strategic masterpiece? Why the 3 days air war projected India as a world power to reckon with? And how much did the Pakistani Air Force lose in real terms? Why has the Chinese weapon technology myth shattered in Operation Sindoor? But before we dive deep, the global defense headlines first. New Zealand is set to receive first VAMTAC ST-5 prototype. Spain's Eurovesa has shipped a prototype of its VAMTAC ST-5 tactical vehicle to New Zealand as part of a major fleet upgrade. The vehicle will undergo testing to integrate New Zealand Defence Forces communications and digital systems before full-scale induction. The Netherlands has finalized a contract for at least 46 Leopard 2A8 tanks under a joint procurement with Germany. Dutch officials call the advanced MBT an essential asset in countering large-scale threats. The Spanish firm EM&E has introduced Forex 6x6 based on NIMR JAIS platform, showcasing enhanced protection and mobility. The vehicle includes a new turret and multiple variants that are in the pipeline. At FinDef 2025, Instalaza revealed the Hispano, a reusable shoulder-fired system with improved targeting and reduced weight. Designed for Spain's Marine Corps, it features a new fire control system with extended range. The United Kingdom has launched a new IS Star training program under the UK MFTS contract worth £300 million. The system will enhance rear crew training with advanced simulators and upgraded aircraft across RAF and Royal Navy bases. In a major provocation, Pakistan's army launched drones and missiles targeting the Golden Temple in Amritsar, reportedly in retaliation to India's recent Operation Sindoor against terror camps across the border. However, India's robust air defense systems, including Akash surface-to-air missiles and L-70 guns, successfully neutralized the threat, averting a potential tragedy at the revered Sikh shrine. Similar hostile attempts were also reported at other religious sites, including the Vaishno Devi shrine and Shankaracharya temple. In Jammu, a brief blackout occurred during an attempted strike near Vaishno Devi region, but all such attacks were effectively foiled. Indian Army officials have condemned these strikes as nefarious designs by Pakistan to target sacred sites and spread fear, affirming that India's air defense remains on high alert.
On 8th early morning in the hours of darkness, Pakistan carried out a massive air assault with unmanned aerial weapons, primarily drones and long-range missiles. We were fully prepared since we had anticipated this, and our brave heart and alert Army air defense gunners thwarted Pakistan Army's nefarious designs and shot down all drones and missiles targeted at Golden Temple. Drones and long-range missiles were launched and fired from his own territory, which were his mainstay. Indian military installations, civilian population centers, including innocent ladies and children, were also not spared and were considered as legitimate targets by the Pakistan military. He has even targeted religious places specifically, a case in point being the Golden Temple located in Amritsar, which is internationally renowned and a place of faith for everybody.
Today we will discuss about Operation Sindoor, a lightning air campaign that not only crippled Pakistan's air bases but exposed the vulnerability of some of the world's most sophisticated military hardware supplied by China and the United States. Pakistan's air defense shield is built on two pillars: the US-made TPS-77 long-range surveillance radar, and the Chinese HQ-9 missile system, a SAM platform likened to Russia's S-300 or America's Patriot. The TPS-77, part of an $89 million contract, can track aircraft 450 kilometers away and up to 30 kilometers in altitude, designed to provide round-the-clock surveillance of Pakistani skies. The HQ-9, introduced in year 2021, is a powerful deterrent. Its role to protect Pakistan's critical cities, command centers, and military infrastructure from enemy aircraft and cruise missiles. These were placed strategically across Pakistan's urban and military centers, that is Lahore, Karachi, Malir cantonment, and even around Rawalpindi. Pakistan had 6 TPS-77 units procured under an $89 million deal, and HQ-9s began entering service from year 2021, forming the core of high-altitude defense around critical air bases and infrastructure. But on the night of Indian Air Force's Operation Sindoor, these advanced systems failed to do what they were built for, to defend. India's campaign began not with bombs, but with brains. India's campaign began not with bombs, but with brains. Wave 1. Decoy aircraft and unmanned drones, some based on Harpy and indigenous swarm UAVs, entered the Pakistani airspace. Wave 2. Pakistani air defense networks lit up. Radars get activated. HQ-9s locked on. Wave 3. Indian Harpy, Harop loitering munitions, anti-radiation drones logged onto radar emissions and struck hard. Targets neutralized. Radar installations near Lahore. HQ-9 launcher at Malir cantonment, Karachi. Radar domes at Sialkot and Pasoor. According to Director General Air Operations Air Marshal A.K. Bharti, a Chinese HQ-9 site near Lahore was completely neutralized. India's strategy was textbook SEED, that is, suppression of enemy air defense. First came the decoys. Drones and dummy fighters deliberately flew into radar range, triggering Pakistani air defenses. As the radars locked on, it was too late. Israeli Harpy loitering munition, also known as suicide drones, zeroed in onto the radar emissions. Indian officials confirmed a radar site near Lahore, believed to house an HQ-9 battery, was neutralized. Then came the heavyweights. BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles, SCALP, Rampage, and Crystal Maze standoff weapons rained down on key air bases: Sargodha, Sukur, Nur Khan, and Malir in Karachi. Satellite imagery revealed massive craters on runway and destroyed bunkers. What made this different wasn't just the damage. It was who the equipment belonged to and what it symbolized. The TPS-77 radars from the United States and HQ-9 surface-to-air missiles from China, thus raising the geopolitical stakes. India challenged not just Pakistan but the credibility of US and the Chinese defense technology. New Delhi signaled that it could neutralize Chinese air defense systems in real-world conditions. And it highlighted the vulnerability of American radar systems deployed without integrated safeguards. China is silent, no confirmation of HQ-9 losses, but unofficial state media called the attack aggressive acts. United States concerned but quiet. End-use monitoring of TPS-77s may lead to questions behind closed doors. Pakistan, as usual, denied losses, but later Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif admitted Indian missiles did struck Nur Khan and other air bases. For China, whose HQ-9 systems now lie in ruins, the implications are serious. Operation Sindoor has become a real-world test for Chinese military exports, and early reports suggest the test results are raising red flags. Indian analysts are already calling it a devastating blow to Beijing's arms export image. The US, while watching quietly, may be concerned. The TPS-77 is an American product. If compromised, there could be questions about technology leakage or vulnerability. As you can see the wall behind me, Rafales and the BrahMos missile played a very major role in Operation Sindoor airstrikes on Pakistani air bases and the terror hubs. Operation Sindoor ended after 3 days, not due to pressure but by choice. India made its point and stepped back. No escalation to naval or ground operations, no targeting of civilian infrastructure, no political posturing in international forums. This was 21st century deterrence. High tech, high impact, low escalation. India demonstrated real-time command and control, full spectrum air superiority, integration of space, cyber, air and AI-enabled warfare. Most of all, it showcased a calm confidence that it needn't occupy land to command respect. As the dust settles over Operation Sindoor, destruction of Pakistan's radar and missile shield has done more than tilt the battlefield. It has shifted the strategic calculus of two superpowers. America's silence is telling, China's silence is even louder. Operation Sindoor is going to be recorded as one of the most daring air campaigns in South Asian military history. Operation Sindoor wasn't just a mission, it was a message. A message delivered through precision strikes, supersonic missiles and electronic dominance. And that message was received loud and clear across Pakistan's airspace. We break down exactly what Pakistan lost. Let's start with what keeps the nation's skies safe. Its air defense systems. The Pakistan had placed immense faith in two foreign technologies, the Chinese HQ-9 surface-to-air missile system and American TPS-77 long-range radar. Together, these systems formed the backbone of Pakistan's aerial surveillance and strike interception grid. But that grid collapsed. Indian anti-radiation drones, Israeli Herops and Harpies were the first to go in. Their job, hunt for radar signals, lock on and destroy. One such drone, confirmed by Indian Air Marshal A.K. Bharti, took out a radar near Lahore, likely a Chinese HQ-9 battery guarding Pakistan's second most important city. By the end of the operation, multiple radar sites in Sialkot, Basoor and Rahim Yar Khan had gone dark. The very TPS-77 radar system, once hailed as a jewel of Pakistan's early warning network, were rendered blind. India never named them, but the sudden disappearance of radar coverage in those zones told the story. Then came the strikes on the air bases, Sukur, Peshawar, Malir, Sargodha and even Nur Khan Air Base near Rawalpindi. This one Pakistan could not deny. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif himself acknowledged that Indian missiles struck Nur Khan, the heart of Pakistan's Air Force Command. High-resolution satellite imagery reviewed by OSINT analysts shows cratered runways, burnt-out hangars and scorched blast pens. In Sargodha, home to elite No. 9 Squadron, runway damage alone could take weeks to repair. Unconfirmed but credible reports suggest that several JF-17s and Mirage aircraft parked in hardened shelter may have been damaged or destroyed. But this round wasn't fought just with missiles, it was fought in silence. Electronic warfare units deployed by India jammed Chinese radars, cut communication lines and likely disrupted command and control links between Pakistani air bases. For long, Pakistani command posts received nothing but static. For a military built on doctrines of denial and deception, this was a paralysis. Pakistan, as expected, issued denials, but its air defense grid had gone silent. Its runways were torn apart, and its American and the Chinese origin systems had failed in real-time war conditions. And that brings us to the most significant loss of all, strategic credibility. For China, Operation Sindoor is a public battlefield test of its exported weapons. If the HQ-9s which are China's answer to S-300 and Patriot systems, could not intercept incoming missiles or drone, then what message does this send to Beijing's global clients? India's message was unmistakable. Chinese military technology can be jammed, spoofed and destroyed. And for Washington, the optics are no better. Pakistan's loss of American TPS-77 radar systems raised concerns over technology vulnerability and end-use accountability. In the final tally, the numbers may remain classified, but evidence is visible from space. At least one HQ-9 battery destroyed, 3 to 4 major radar sites jammed or eliminated, 11 air bases struck, multiple aircraft likely damaged or grounded, command and control network temporarily blinded, and military forced into silence. This wasn't just a victory of firepower, it was a symphony of timing, tactics, and technological superiority. Operation Sindoor proved one thing, that India's air power is not just regional but strategic. And for the first time in decades, Pakistan wasn't just caught off guard, it was overwhelmed.
भारत पर आतंकी हमला हुआ, हम अपने तरीके से, अपनी शर्तों पर, अपने समय पर जवाब देंगे। दूसरा, कोई भी न्यूक्लियर ब्लैकमेल भारत नहीं सहेगा। तीसरा, हम आतंक की सरपरस्त सरकार और आतंक के आकाओं को अलग अलग नहीं देखेंगे। दुनिया भी भारत के इस नए रूप को, इस नई व्यवस्था को समझते हुए ही आगे बढ़ रही है।
This was not just a 72-hour air campaign. It was a strategic recalibration, a moment that shattered long-held assumptions and redrew the contours of military power in the region. For decades, South Asia's security balance was framed by deterrence doctrine and shadow of nuclear weapons. But Operation Sindoor introduced a new element to the equation, that is credible, precise, and conventional superiority. India didn't just strike, it blinded, paralyzed, and overwhelmed, not in theory but in execution. The repercussions have been huge for Pakistan. This is a strategic wake-up call for them. Its reliance on foreign supplied technology, from China's HQ-9s to American TPS-77s, has exposed a dangerous vulnerability. Imported deterrence is no substitute for indigenous resilience. The narrative of parity has been punctured, and worst of all, the command's silence during Sindoor was not a signal of strength but of shock. For China, the stakes are even higher. Its military-industrial reputation now stands trial, not in the marketing brochures but in the battlefield results. Chinese radars jammed, Chinese surface-to-air missiles neutralized. Beijing's export credibility has taken a blow, and so has its proxy leverage in the region. Behind diplomatic statements, China is surely reassessing the risk of deeper entanglement with a partner that couldn't defend its own skies. And then there is the United States. Washington now finds its dual role in region under scrutiny, supplying advanced systems to Pakistan while deepening strategic cooperation with India is no longer a manageable contradiction. Operation Sindoor may force a harder choice: stand clearly with a rising strategic partner or risk enabling instability through outdated alliances. But above all, for India, this is a moment of transformation, not as an aggressor, not as an escalator, but as a nation that demonstrated what modern warfare looks like in 21st century: networked, precise, and unrelenting. India's actions showed it will not wait for war to be declared. It will act when its sovereignty is threatened, and now it possesses the technological, political, and operational confidence to project hard power with precision and restraint. So what lies ahead? The region enters an era of uncertain calm, where skirmishes may be short, but consequences long-lasting. An arms race, perhaps, a new diplomatic order, likely, but one thing is now certain: South Asia is no longer a theatre of strategic ambiguity. After Operation Sindoor, the message is clear. India is not reacting to history anymore. It is shaping it. This is not just a reset, it's a realignment. And the world is watching. That's all for this special edition of Defense Dynamics. Thank you for joining us. Do post your comments with #DD with Danveer. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.